welcome to a midweek version of Soundcheck. I am currently sans Johnny, not because he wasn't with me at the show, but because I have a lot of opinions of how this show went. So this past weekend on September 11th, never forget, we went and saw the pop punk Still Not Dead tour at UC Berkeley. This tour featured LØLØ and Hot Mulligan and Newfound Glory. So Less Than Jake is on the bill for this show, but they did have a festival that they went to, or that they were already obligated to go to, so we knew that we weren't going to see them. So this show did take place at UC Berkeley. It was a venue that we hadn't been to before, so it was really cool to check out and see the little area. UC Berkeley does sit, or the UC Theater does sit right off the BART line, which is helpful for us that comes from the city. And the venue itself was really well laid out. They had their vaccination check-in station outside the doors, and then they had like a little wheel call box. And then you go in and you're really in like the back of a theater, and they have 3 tiers within there. There's the top 2 levels have just general admission seating, so it's all first come, first serve. And then the lower level is all standing GA, which is where we ended up. So unfortunately, either UC Theater or the promoters for this show didn't really appropriately state when the showtime was starting or anything like that. So on all of the old information, the showtime was for 8 p.m., but the show actually started at 7:30. They didn't really make that widely known. And then even before 7:30, as we were walking around the area out there, we could hear LØLØ performing before her time of 7:30. So that's just a little bit of a bummer. Like, we don't always try to catch the full openers, but it's at least nice to know when the show's really supposed to start. But that fact is completely separate from the fact that the entire show was pretty solid. So first we had LØLØ. Johnny and I had never heard of LØLØ before this. We did throw her onto a few of our Spotify playlists just to get accustomed to her sound. And, you know, she's young, but it hits pretty well. So I was really happy to see her. She really embraced the fact that nobody there knew who she was. Her top hit song was what was playing when we first walked in, so that was a really great intro to LØLØ. She had such energy on the stage. She was very vibrant, and she really tried to connect with everybody out there. So she played a few of her own originals, and then, you know, she really laid into the vibe of the crowd when she played Teenage Dirtbag by Wheatus, or when she covered that. You guys are killing it! That really got the vibe in that place going well. And then next, we have Hot Mulligan. And now, one of the reasons why I am doing this without Johnny is because I have such opinions right now on this next section. And I know my opinions are going to dominate anything his are. But Hot Mulligan should just be changed immediately to Hot Mulligan, because it was just so uninspired. Now, there was a lot of changeover, or a lot of time in between LØLØ and when Hot Mulligan came out on stage. And like they went through and they did the whole sound check, and like all of their stuff was ready, but it was still like longer than I would anticipate for an opener to come on stage. And when they did, like, it was very obvious that they had just had a fight backstage. Like, these boys were just miserable with each other. There was no love there whatsoever. It was also made very apparent by when they were starting to wrap up their set. You know, the lead singer thought that they were on their last song, and he announced that, and then somebody corrected them, and he just like, ugh, like he was not happy about having to play. So their sound is not the worst. You know, they have some bangers. They fit the vibe, unfortunately. They fit the vibe of the fan base. People got into them pretty well. I had no idea who Hot Mulligan was before going to this, or, you know, before buying these tickets. They come from around 2014, so they fit well with that group. I would have much more respect for Hot Mulligan if they were just a 3-piece band. Their drummer was pretty solid. Their rhythm guitar and backup singer, I think he should be all on his own. He had an excellent voice. He had stage presence. He was fun. Like, he got, you know, people involved. He also had some solid guitar chops from what I was able to see. The bassist stood there most of the show. He jumped up and down a little bit. I don't know, he might have played 3 or 4 notes. I don't really think I don't think it was very effective, their use of him. And then the lead guitar just matched perfectly with the rhythm guitar. There was very minimal extra with the lead guitar. I feel like the lead guitar and bass, you know, not traditional, could be rolled into one singular person. Like, with a bass player with some solid chops could be doing those riffs. I think that would be much more appropriate. And, you know, that lead singer had the personality of a wet blanket. I don't think it was a good fit for that vibe, unfortunately. So, as much as LØLØ psyched us up and got us ready for that show, Hot Mulligan, I wasn't thrilled with. And then we have New Found Glory. There's not a lot that you can say about New Found Glory. Still amazing. You know, I fell in love instantly back in, you know, the late 90s, and I'm still in love now. Everything about them, their stage presence all over, just impeccable. Their playing is on point, as the kids say. And they can still hit it all across the board. Each one of them brings something very unique and solid to the table. I want to give the drummer a lot of props because he played that entire show masked. And, you know, it's a tough world right now to be in, to want to be around that many people. And so, you know, it was good to see that happening. So they were just a really fun group. You could tell that they are just the closest of friends, you know, thick as thieves. They love being together and they love what they're doing. They're genuinely there to make you happy, and they succeeded immensely. We stayed from, you know, the first note to the absolute last, and I couldn't get enough. Usually by the end of the show, especially a standing show, we're ready, but I moved the whole time. I screamed along, you know, inside of my mask, just going for it. That is absolutely how I want every show in my life to be. That show specifically took me back to 2005. And I was very young then, but I have a great older sister who introduced me to New Found Glory and that whole world early in life, and it took me right back to that moment. So it was really cool to be there with her next to me. Amanda joined us for the show. It was so cool to just be next to each other, screaming along to all our favorite songs, I couldn't ask for more from New Found Glory or from that show at all. So tonight we are actually going to see King Buffalo at Bottom of the Hill, also a venue that we haven't been to. It's within walking distance of our apartment, but it is across some hills, so we will see how that goes later. So we will see you next time.